We've spent the last several weeks going through contract language that most contractors sign without reading. COIs, indemnification clauses, waivers of subrogation. Today, I want to cover something that takes all of that a step further. Because there's a clause in most subcontracts that doesn't just bind you to the terms you signed. It binds you to a contract you've probably never seen. Stick with me. This one affects every subcontractor on the job. Let's start with what a flow-down clause is. A flow-down clause is a provision in your subcontract that incorporates the prime contract, the agreement between the general contractor and the project owner, directly into your subcontract. The legal effect is straightforward. Everything the GC owes the owner, you now owe the GC, including terms you've never read, including obligations nobody told you about. Here's what the language actually looks like. Most subcontracts contain a sentence that reads something like this. Subcontractors shall be bound to contractor by the terms of the contract documents and assumes toward contractor all obligations and responsibilities that contractors assume towards owner. That's it. One sentence. Translation. Whatever the general contractor promised the owner, you're now promising the general contractor, even if you've never read the prime contract, even if nobody gave it to you before you signed. Now, let's talk about what actually flows down and why this matters for your insurance specifically. With an all-inclusive flow-down clause, anything in the prime contract becomes part of your obligation. Indemnification language, including the broad to the fullest extent permitted by law language we covered a few weeks ago. Waiver of subrogation requirements, insurance obligations, specific additional insured requirements, warranty terms. All sexy terms, I know. Here's a real example of how that plays out. A mechanical subcontractor signed a subcontract with standard terms. The flow-down clause incorporated the prime contract. The prime contract required a 5-year warranty on equipment. The equipment warranty on that equipment was 1 year. The subcontractor found out at project closeout when the GC demanded 5 years of warranty documentation. The insurance angle is the one most contractors miss entirely. If the prime required a waiver of subrogation or contained broad indemnification language and those terms flowed down through the subcontract, you're now bound by those same obligations without necessarily being told and without knowing whether your current policy was built to handle them. There are 3 types of flow-down clauses. An all-inclusive flow-down incorporates everything in the prime contract into the subcontract. This is the most common type in standard subcontracts and the most sweeping. Selective flow-down names specific clauses from that prime that apply to you. This one's more limited and easier to evaluate because the subcontract tells you exactly what flows. A modified flow-down incorporates the same prime with stated exceptions or adjustments. The subcontract spells out what applies and what doesn't. Most standard subcontracts use all-inclusive language, which means if you haven't read the prime contract, you don't know what you agreed to. Here's what to do before you sign your next subcontract. First, ask for the prime contract before you sign. You have the right to see it. You're a part of it. The flow-down clause makes it part of your obligation regardless of whether you've read it. So read it. Most subcontractors never ask. Most general contractors won't volunteer it, but you can request it and you should. Second, read the insurance section of the prime contract. Does it require a waiver of subrogation, broad indemnification language, specific additional insured endorsements, minimum limits above what you currently carry? All of that flows to you. Third, send both documents to your agent before you sign. Let them compare what the prime contract requires against what your current policy actually covers. If there's a gap, you want to know before the job starts, not after something goes wrong. Most subcontractors never take these 3 steps. Most general contractors won't bring it up. Why would they? But you can ask, and now you know what to look for. Just like G.I. Joe said, and knowing is half the battle. If you're reviewing a subcontract right now and you want to know what you're actually agreeing to, that's exactly what we do here. Reach out before you sign anything, 318-423-7445, or go to callwatley.com. Next week, we're talking about your policy's aggregate limits and why your $2 million limit might not cover as much as you think when you're running multiple jobs at the same time. That one drops next Tuesday. See you then.